In this video, I'm going to show you how to create something like this. Really weird and wonderful distorted design, all created from a basic brush. That's all you need to do, a basic brush, then use that to create this. Super quick and super easy in Affinity Photo, PC or Mac. How to create that design starts with a basic brush. Just go to the brushes panel and a round soft brush. You could go with 32, just double click, bring up the editor, and then just change the size. And I would suggest something like 280, depends on the size of the document. Go with black and just apply. Now, you can just create any kind of squiggle design like that, anything. Next step, you need a selection from this. And go up here to select, and then just down to selection from layer. So what you created, it could be all kinds of different designs. It could be splatters, lots of dots, could be multiple lines, could be anything that you create with this brush approach. Just go with selection from layer, select that, and now you'll see selection. Because the next thing is I'm going to apply a gradient, and I need the selection just to confine it. So just go over here, here's the gradient tool, and click and drag, and you can see straight away just by the default brush and gradient, I've got this white to black effect. But you can always go up here, you've got linear, you could go with all kinds of other settings as well. Just click here and then just change the colors a bit, because I don't want just obviously white and black and grey. So just double click and you can add a stop, and you can do this countless times, lots and lots of options for colors. I'm just going to go with red, double click and just go there, maybe a green, and you can see it's changing the colors there, and I'm just going to click again there and go with that. So red, then green and blue, and you can create all kinds of design. And you can change the gradient, you can just drag this across and you can vary the look of your design. Next thing, select and deselect. I'm not worried now, I'm not going to be using that selection, so I'm now going to go and create some depth to it. A great way of doing that, just go to the layers panel, and again, all the panels you can find in the window menu. So layers there, and just go down the bottom. As long as it's selected, that's the key thing, click effects, and now go to 3D. You could use bevel and emboss, of course, do all kinds of different things, but I'm just pushing it to the max. Now, you can actually extend it beyond that, so maybe 200 instead of 100, and get something like that, and then click close. But also another option, you could change the profile, you can change the direction of light, add multiple lights to create all kinds of variations, and then click close. Now, this design, I'm going to turn into a brushstroke. Yep, just wanted to create a really extreme sort of design that can be used as a brush. To get the effects, what you need to do is rasterize the layer. Otherwise, this will not work. So go over to layer and then down to rasterize. So rasterize and preserve layer effects. Turn that off and rasterize. Now you can see you've just got a pixel layer. Now you can define that as a brush. So go to the brushes. In brushes, you can go and change the category. Of course, I'm using the basic one. You don't need to put it there. Maybe put it to 3D brushes or something like that. Just create a category, which you can do over this side. So create a new category for it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to create it here. So go right side and down to new brush from selection. And now it's stored away here. And you can see it down here. Image brush 9. You can change your name, etc. And also, I'm just going to delete that. Don't need it anymore. So double click, and now you can see the design. Well, to create a design with lots of colors, you need to go here, dynamics, this section, go here, go hue, jitter, and just by pushing that up to 100%, you can get some reds, pinks, etc. And of course, they will depend on the colors that you've actually got in that initial brushstroke. That's what it's stored. It's stored those reds and greens. And now you can see that. Also, you've got rotation jitter. You don't have to push it to 100%. I'm pushing it up to 100%. And you can, of course, apply all kinds of different settings here. There's loads of great ones. Cyclic, super useful. But next thing, scatter. So you can just scatter it like that. And size jitter. So you can vary the size And another good thing, probably just reduce the size down. So you don't want it like 1,000, 2,000. So 412, close. And now need to go and select the brush. Just down here, here's the brush tool, and it will use this image brush now. And you can apply it very quickly. You see, again, this pops up, the assistant. Now, you may not have that setting set. If not, you will have to create a layer. You'll need to create a new layer to actually apply the brush stroke. But if you've got the assistant set up, it should set up this layer for you. And then you can go over here and change the width again, so you can reduce down and apply it a couple of times, and you can see fill it up. You don't have to fill the whole thing up. Maybe have gaps in it, but reasonable. But you can just do it a couple of times, and I'm just going to go for a few smaller ones there to reduce it down, and something like that. So you've got this design. Well, this design, this layer, can be used for displacement maps on itself. I love doing this because you get a very unusual glass distortion effect. And I'm just going to show you with layers. So we've just got one layer at the moment. All you need to do, right click, and you can duplicate. Or you could use the layer menu and duplicate it that way. So duplicate. Now, with this, make certain you select the top layer. It needs to be the top layer. I'm going to work from the layers beneath, which is the same image at the moment. So with this, I can now go to over here to filters, distort, and then down to displace. So in displace, you've got options here for strength and load map from layers beneath. And that's what this image is. So click here and you can see with that, you get this really weird and wonderful, super colourful design. Just love this effect. Just creates all kinds of distortions. Lovely glass distortion effect. Super easy, super quick. Though I wish they would have some options where it just basically does the loading of this layer without needing to do it. It would be nice if it could just duplicate that in another button, but still they haven't got that. So load map from layers beneath and click apply. And you've got that. Now, the one thing about this is that you might think, well, it's a bit too sharp in places. Maybe. If you want to add some smoothness, which unfortunately is not in the displace filter, what you can do, and I'm just going to undo this, I can just go to this layer, the bottom layer. That's the key thing. Select that. Go to filters, blur, and Gaussian blur. And I would suggest something like, 10, 12, 20, up to you. You don't have to see it. It's blurring it. Gaussian blur, great for blurring it, but you could use other blurs as well. You could use radial blurs, zoom blurs. Zoom blur creates an interesting effect as well. But click apply. Now go back to it. And now you can go to filters and then go to distort and displace. And now exact same load map from layers beneath. And you can see now it's not so sharp. You can push it and push it. I think it just creates a smoother sort of nice displacement as well. And click apply. And you get this effect. Another option, let's just undo that again. What you can do is you can go to this one, this layer, the bottom layer, and filters and distort and affine. With affine, you've got loads of options for scale, and I think it's just a great little feature. Now, another option you could do is use patterns. Use this as a pattern layer. But you can change this, and you can see as you do the scale, you can change this to wrap, to mirror, and you can also go here, scale Y, and of course you can vary it, which I think is great. So you can just create a very small, and you could just really push it like that, maybe rotate it. You see as you rotate that around, you can change offset, etc. Then click apply. So you've got quite intense design now, and you can use this as a displacement map as well. So pixels, just go back here, and now in here, filters, distort, and again, displace. So with this, you can then just go up here and go to strength, and again, load map from layers beneath. Now you get a very intense design. You may not like this. It's reduced it, really made it very, very small in comparison with the previous one, which was more chunky distortion. So there's a couple of options to create different designs. So let's just undo that and also undo this fine effect. So let's just remove that, and you can see, go back to the original blurred effect. So now back here, filters, distort, and displace. Exactly the same before, just change strength, load maps from layers beneath, and you of course can vary it, just go push it about there. I think that's perfect for me, and click apply. I want some depth in this, and one thing I think that's missing in Affinity Photo, along with many others, I think is a real great feature, creating a bit of depth to it. Now you can fake it a bit. I'm just going to do it this way, and that is using the layers again. So select and selection from layer, not this one, but this one, layer intensity. It's not ideal. I wish there were other ways of doing this, but you can do this and you see correct selection. Then edit and copy, edit and paste. And I just paste that as a layer. So select and deselect. I don't want that. So now I've got this slightly less of the pixel information, but it's following obviously the intensity here. Now I can go over here and effects, click there, and I can go for 3D. And now again, I can, or maybe bevel and emboss. You could just try these. So you can see then as you do that, just change the direction and it just gives it a bit of depth. It's not perfect. I think there's many applications that got better features for this. One of my favorites being Corel Painter. That's got a real great tool. And of course, there are other tools that can create this sort of depth in an image like this, and then click close. And there you have it. Very basic design, but very weird and wonderful design, but it's a fairly basic design, all created from a single brushstroke. And that's all it's done. And once you've got that, you can flatten it, of course. You can go to layer and just down here to merge visible. So it's all merged into a single layer. And then, of course, once you've got that, you can then print it off, distort it, apply other effects, maybe use it as layers, save it to your assets. You can always go over here to Window and go to Assets, and then just save it for future use. Maybe use it as a layer, as a background design, maybe as a t-shirt design, maybe as a print on your wall. All those kind of things can be used with this approach. Well, I hope you found this video of interest. Any thoughts and questions about this, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to know the sort of designs you will be using with this approach. And you can create literally millions of designs using a similar approach with a basic brush in Affinity Photo. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel. Bye.